Welcome to Nocturnal Transmissions, the fortnightly podcast that brings you dark tales, both old and new, performed by your humble narrator, Kristin Holland. If you go down in the woods today, you're sure of a big surprise. If you go down in the woods today, you better go in disguise. For today we play Angela Chiu's The Boyfriend Game. Melody is in love. Or at least she thinks she is. She's seen him at the park before, but only from a distance. It was a trick, one she fell for, to call the woods cluster dam a park. Park suggests a square of uniform manicured green, not this sprawling hilly acreage overrun with trees and overgrown hiking trails. At the center of the tangled wilds, a lake gaped wide as an open mouth, the glistening dark jewel at its heart. Melody first visited the park as a retreat from the claustrophobic walls of her subsidized student dormitory, and accidentally strayed from the path. She ended up wheeling herself in circles, the trail back to town obscured by deciduous shade, bruising her ankles on the rocks and roots. But she came back. She likes it here now, sticks to the paths, finds it helpful to cycle through the nuances of her assigned readings while she walks alone in the quiet. She rarely encounters other people, which surprises her, given the frequency of her visits. Where are the svelte female joggers with their muscled thighs, the sororities of stay-at-home moms pushing their bulky strollers, the high school kids skipping class to smoke weed and make out? Almost everyone's backyard eventually melts into a horizon of trees around here. Maybe the woods just don't hold the same appeal, not the same allure as they do for a girl who grew up surrounded by asphalt and overflowing dumpsters. Most often she's seen him at the lake's perimeter, his angular silhouette a cutout slashed into the thick grey fog that boils from the surface of the water. Sometimes she spotted him above, surveying the park from atop the sparse crest of a steep hill, or glimpsed him far below, a shadow cutting across one of the thicket-choked trails. One day she finally meets him, just before dusk, their paths intersecting at the edge of the lake. He is a little older than her, and very tall. His skin is blanched so white it's tinged blue. His eyes are startlingly dark on that stark face, 2 inverted full moons. A mark pulses on his neck, round and black as a hole. His clothes seem old, but not in the same way as the hipster types who rove the campus, dressed in thrift store chic with meticulous hair, hunched over second-hand copies of obscure poetry. Water drips from the frayed cuff of his left pants leg as he slipped on the damp rocks, plunging one leg into the frigid lake. She notices the smouldering ember of his cigarette, its ponderous blink, but no exhalation of smoke curls above his head, the plume masked perhaps by the fog. The moist, sweet scent of algae envelops them. A damp gust tosses Melody's hair, winds it around her throat, whips it against her cheek. She brushes away a tendril clung to her lips. He lowers his cigarette, a hand-rolled stalk, the end winking red, and smiles at her. He tells her that her hair is sinewy, That for all he's read it as a descriptor in books, he's never met anyone to whom the word so aptly applied. Melody is used to boys who shove her face into the pillow. In the dark, her body is interchangeable to them. A pair of breasts, a pair of legs. "You're so sexy," they pant into her ear, and into the next girl's. His compliment, specific, unique to her, pierces something inside of her chest. She wants, suddenly and very badly, to kiss him. Sinewy, Melody remembers later in class, as she curls a tendril around her finger. The word makes her feel powerful, like a siren or a gorgon, hair full of writhing snakes, a face someone would be willing to die for a chance to look upon. She attends a seminar called Two Halves of a Seed, Femininity and Fairy Tales. An accomplished doctor of literature teaches the course, a demanding woman with sharp, hawkish features. The syllabus at once stirs and embarrasses Melody. Each time she slides into her back corner seat, she hunkers up like she's been caught doing something illicit. The class is studying Angela Carter's The Bloody Chamber, a collection of thrillingly violent stories about dangerous men who prey on virginal girls, until one of the would-be victims bares her teeth and tears off her dewy skin to reveal the slavering wolf, the fearsome tiger underneath. Melody transferred just a few months ago at the start of the semester, by the grace of a hard-won scholarship and a sad story. Now, instead of squinting at textbooks in dim basement classrooms speckled with mildew, she putters away at this small but reputable university and rooms in this quaint town, all of it ringed in a fortress of watchful trees. As thrilling as it was to unsheathe the acceptance letter, her failure to reinvent herself fizzles her short-lived happiness. She fled hundreds of miles, but she is still Melody, still tongue-tied and awkward when someone speaks to her, somehow always a step out of sync with everyone else. Soon enough, the friendly overtures shrink to the quickly averted glance, the truncated "hi" in passing. Melody refamiliarizes herself with eating her free meal alone in the cafeteria. She tucks in her earbuds, jots down notes while she chews on stale sandwiches, Wonder bread grown soggy from the wet lettuce. Her most sustained interaction so far occurred during the mandated icebreaker on the first day of class, when the instructor circuited the room and pried from them their names and anecdotes of beach sabbaticals and European vacations and golden retriever puppies. "Is that a nickname?" A classmate leaned into ask after Melody introduced herself. "It isn't. Her mother picked it. Her mother liked beautiful things. That eluded her." In one of Melody's earliest memories, her mother returned unexpectedly from a date. Melody was dying to re-watch her static, fuzzed copy of Beauty and the Beast. She clutched her tattered plush bunny and huddled inches from the television. She was supposed to be asleep, so she left the lights off and the volume low, and nibbled as quietly as she could at a greasy bag of popcorn. She marvelled at her own boldness, even as she tried not to look behind her at the indistinct shapes of slouchy furniture, the mounds of unwashed laundry and half-spilled boxes, all engorged and made monstrous by the dark. But the movie swept her up into its enchantment soon enough. She gasped at the snarling fury of the wolves, smiled at the motherly teapot, and winced as Belle wept over her losses. So engrossed was Melody in the film, she jumped when her mother stumbled in, showering the scruffy carpet with kernels. Just a few hours earlier they had bounced on the bed while her mother agonized over the perfect shade of lipstick and spritzed them both with perfume. Her mother told Melody she'd be the prettiest girl in the neighborhood someday. Melody had felt so grown up as she'd rubbed her moist wrists together, sniffing the misty floral scent. In the twilight glow of the television, her mother's mouth resembled a bruised rose, a string of reddish spit drooping from the already swollen bloom of her split lower lip. Indicted by evidence of her crimes, Melody cowered, braced herself for the flash flood of her mother's fury at the mess of spilled popcorn, at Melody's disobedience. In the doorway, her mother stiffened, one hand on the knob, the other fisted at her mouth, her keys dangling limp between her fingers. They stared at each other, while Belle, resplendent in her golden gown, waltzed with the beast. They held each other and twirled around and around the glittering ballroom. Yet as the music swelled, Melody's mother turned without a word and disappeared into the bedroom. Melody listened, rigid, frozen, for any noises. But there were none. On screen, the dance ended. Belle fled. The rustling, when it came, was loud in the breathless silence. Melody swallowed a yelp as a mouse crept out from under the couch, lured by the savour of butter and salt. It advanced on silent pink paws, nose twitching. Melody seized her bunny and scooted backwards as the mouse approached a piece of popcorn, fallen only a few inches from Melody's foot. She gaped wide-eyed as it gnawed through one kernel and moved to the next, too frightened to utter a sound, to make it stop. After her first encounter with the stranger by the lake, Melody searches for him among the frazzled throng of undergraduate students clogging the halls, in the cafeteria where the TAs slump over mugs of cold black coffee and reams of freshman essays. But she never finds him anywhere, except at the park, where they begin to meet often. They roam the woods and drift along the shoreline, the fog swirling around their calves, licking up their legs. Sometimes they wander in silence or read together until the words begin to blur with the descent of the sun. Melody passes her words, careful not to dredge out the ugly things. Though she worries, she makes herself seem shallow. One-dimensional Melody, a suit of skin with no depth, nothing inside to find. When she returns alone to her dorm, she paces and practices clever things to say to him. But even when she manages nothing but the mundanities of her day, her instructor's comments, what she had for breakfast, he listens to everything that pours out of her mouth, his hand-rolled cigarette tapping against his lips, his black eyes focused on her face. She convinces herself he hears more than she ever actually says. This is what it's like to have someone waiting for you, Melody thinks. Whenever she enters the park, a knot of fear pulses in her throat until she picks out his familiar shape, the elongated shadow of his body emerging from the fog. After all, it's always when you take it for granted, when you peel open your chest to bare your bloody, rabbiting heart, that the one you want most to touch it will vanish. Instead of receiving a high school diploma, her mother received Melody. She couldn't help Melody with her homework, couldn't pass algebraic symbols or decode the rules of correct punctuation, so she didn't try. But she made clear her expectations for Melody to excel. When Melody's fourth-grade teacher sent her home with a poor grade on a quiz, a line for her mother to sign on, and a note concerning her overall performance, her mother's disappointment broke over her like a wave. "How many times do I have to tell you?" Her mother crumpled the quiz, her bright red nail polish rutted and smeared by the page. "There are two types of girls. Girls who are smart and girls who are sluts. Do you want to be smart, or do you want to be a whore?" There are the boys. Melody keeps her head down while she marches from one class to the next, but she still senses the electric pulse of their leers as she passes. It's not Melody knows that she is particularly attractive or otherwise desirable, but that they can recognize prey in her soft flesh, the resigned acquiescence wafting from her skin like spoiled perfume. Melody couldn't say when it started. Well, maybe she could. One among the parade of her mother's boyfriends, a man with a grey buzz cut, his mask of pepper and faint sweat. She remembers the pelt of his chest hair, coarse curls slithering out from beneath the collar of his shirt. Dusty light lapped through the slats of the blinds and seeped onto the bowling ball slopes of his muscled shoulders. He'd arrived early, while her mother was still finishing her shift at work, and sprawled wide-legged onto the couch, the faded upholstery sagging beneath him. "My shoelace. It's untied," he said to Melody in the same tone someone uses to talk about the weather, but there was something nasty underneath, coiled underneath his tongue in the back of his throat, lurking behind the white flash of his strong, square teeth. Okay?" "Tired." Melody knelt. Her temple bumped the boyfriend's knee. She didn't know what else to do. That was all that happened. Her mother came home. She made them spaghetti. Her mother and the boyfriend left. He stopped coming around a few weeks later. Her mother cried. But it was enough. Enough to show Melody what she could expect, what she was made of. Now Melody flips through the collection of stories, and the pages murmur against her fingers. How different her and her mother's lives could have been if only one of them had been able to transform into a beast, to become something bigger than a girl. She steps into her seminar and tries not to look back. At the park, Melody and her friend share an afternoon engaged in a lively debate about the lady of the House of Love. They crouch beside each other upon the mossy rocks along the lakeside, and Melody monitors the sliver of space that prevents their knees from touching. The fog pulses thick, grey-white, and so dense her lungs feel waterlogged from inhaling it. He reads over her shoulder when she parts the pages of the bloody chamber. His breath is a caress of frost on the nape of her neck. Melody shivers at the cool brush of his arm against hers, loses her place, reads and rereads the line, "He is the tender butcher who showed me how the price of flesh is love." She's the one to kiss him. His lips are the cracking cold of ice on hers. The chill crystallizes in the cavern of her mouth, numbs her tongue. It is like ice shatters under her feet and she sinks into a wintry lake, the surface encased in a thick white flow. Stalactites pierce her throat and chest when she swallows. She whimpers, open-mouthed, pressed against him. When she finally pulls back, light-headed and winded, shakes rack her body. Her clothes, where she touched him, are soaked through to her bones with ice water. One day in October, Melody draws a flower on the calendar. Today, her mother would be 38. Later that same afternoon, he leads her to an old foundation crumbled into the earth. A fence surrounds it, crooked and splintered by age. Someone mounted a plaque on one of the posts, but erosion has smoothed away the name and significance of the ruins' long dead inhabitants. He pulls her through the void where a door once stood, and they sink into a dip in the ground. Wind moans between the shattered stones of the foundation, stirs the tall grasses, all beaded with rain. He takes off her clothes, but he stays dressed. She shudders. She feels more than naked, skinless and fully exposed. She resists the compulsion to cover herself, to shift from foot to foot as he appraises her, as the chill of the fog presses against her. Can he see the grey tissue of her brain, the cage of her ribs, her accordion lungs, her spasming heart? Can he see her? The sex is amazing, the best she's ever had, oceans away from the collisions of other bodies against hers. She is unmoored. Afterwards her skin feels clammy, fingertips wrinkled, like she's lingered too long in a bath. She's never been so deliriously happy. Mud streaks her clothes. Her hair is full of wet leaves. The woods are silent. Melody should be scared, but the cold is delicious, and she wants more. She skips class the next day. She thinks she might die if she waits any longer to see him again. The stranger, her friend, her boyfriend. The sun lowers itself beneath the tree line when she treks back on jellied legs. She trips through the undergrowth, the trail sunken into deep gloom. Branches snatch at her waist. The fog clings to her naked arms. She pants a little as she ascends the steep gradient demarcating the final stretch of the trail. She doesn't want to leave, fantasizes about ducking off the path, curling up beneath a thicket until nightfall, until her prince arrives to kiss her awake. The rumble of the motor goes unnoticed at first, but the headlights startle her to a halt. The park ranger's truck nearly strikes her as it chugs up the hill. A scree of gravel and leaf litter kicked up by the thud of the brake pelt her. can't be here after dark. The water is dangerous at night," the ranger admonishes her when he recovers. Melody doesn't argue. She doesn't like it when people yell. Instead, she hunches her shoulders and quickens her pace, her pulse thundering in her ears. The ranger tails her to the exit, so close the engine's heat pounds against her back. The blurry beams probe at her periphery until her eyes stream with irritated tears. She exhales only when he parks to chain the gate shut behind her. His headlights needle just inches ahead before being swallowed up, but he leaves them on high while he works, as though in some futile war against the crush of the fog. A few days later, Melody squints beneath the college library's fluorescent bulbs, examining the cabinet that contains local history records. Most of it is dry ephemera, painstakingly catalogued genealogical charts, typo-ridden collections of ghost stories and urban legends, pamphlets detailing the construction of defunct railroads and factories. She extracts one slim book, the name of the lake embossed on its spine. She learns the lake is man-made, a dammed-up overflow from a nearby river. It is 300 feet deep, so deep that the water remains ice-cold even during the sluggish heat of high summer. Officials ordered it evacuated, but when the valley was flooded, the surge shattered the dams, burst uncontrollable beyond the boundaries of expectation. The water swallowed everything: trees, stones, an entire town. Animals drowned. Some people did too. Others were swept up in the apocalyptic current, dashed against rocks, impaled by debris. Melody clasps the booklet to her chest. She closes her eyes. She imagines what it would feel like to be in that valley as the black wave swallowed the sky, broke over her head, ballooned her lungs to bursting, swept away everything she'd ever known, and her along with it. "Melody, already hard at work on your midterm, I see." Melody startles. The booklet slips from her hands. An excruciating moment passes as Melody struggles to prevent the rest of the pile of texts in her arms from cascading to the floor. She manages to collect herself long enough to mumble an affirmative to her femininity and fairy tales instructor. She blushes, her grasp of language evaporating from her brain, as it always does when pinned by the raptor-keen focus of the woman. "Your papers demonstrate such unusual insights." The instructor adjusts her glasses and continues, a little less brightly. "I know it's only your first semester with us, but are you finding your place here? Are you doing all right? I do wish you'd speak up more in class." Melody bobs her head and recites all the necessary assurances until she can escape into the stacks. She arrives at the park on the cusp of evening. The park ranger's truck loiters in the lot, windows rolled up on an empty interior. Vultures tilt and circle overhead, deathly planets in mysterious orbit. He joins her soon enough. Shadows already thicken beneath the trees, and the luxurious darkness of the woods unfurls before them. Everything is green and pulsing, like some great vegetable organ. She brushes by the purple clusters of milkweed and starbursts of white hemlock. Holly berries, brilliant red and swollen to splitting, hang in dense clusters from spiky branches. A fat pair of squirrels, their bottle-brush tails tense, chitter at Melody from the safety of a high bough. She catches glimpses of the silvery brown hides of deer, flashing like ghosts against the black bark as they leap through the leaves. Just ahead of them, a rabbit freezes, trembling in terror. Melody meets its wet, dark eyes. She imagines the softness of its fur, the frantic tremble of its heart. It skitters into the undergrowth. Full night envelops them when they stop at the lip of the lake, a section where the slender arms of willows, half bared by the change of season, dip into the water. The mark on his neck floats in a sea of blue-white marble. Melody unbuttons her shirt, slides her skirt down her legs. She unclips her bra, slips the straps from her shoulders. "I want this," she shows him. She doesn't hurt to be like this anymore. He watches her with the twin voids of his black eyes. They penetrate her. But Melody isn't afraid. He touches her. His hands are pale and cold, the fingers long and leech-like. Her skin pimples with the chill of them. He covers her eyes and lowers her into the mud. She surrenders to the soft, cool give of it. Dead leaves crackle beneath her spine. The scents of petrichor and brine surround her. Water streams in frigid rivulets from his body, anoints her breasts, collects in the divot of her navel. He scalds her burning skin with his glacial caresses. The fog churns, so thick that it's hard for her to breathe. She quivers beneath him. Distantly, she understands the lake is rising to meet them. Water grips her ankles. She allows herself to be pushed, to be pulled. The water shocks her with its frigid intensity. It slides over her legs, circles her hips. It rises over her stomach, slicks the undersides of her breasts. When it ascends to the hollow of her throat, he traces his thumb over the plush of her lips. She pants shallowly, her breath turning to white clouds. She thinks of Carter's stories, but not of the heroines who outwit lusty Bluebeard, slip through the bars of the Earl King's gilded birdcages. She thinks of the nameless ones who came before, whose fates are gossiped about by neighbours, who are taken apart and devoured by the monsters. Maybe some girls are made to be eaten. Melody opens her mouth, opens herself to the flood. She gasps when the water rushes in, and the cold finally fills her. The Boyfriend Game by Angela Chiu. My word, gentle listener, we've had some raunchy stories of late, haven't we? I do hope no one's getting too hot under the collar out there. Perhaps we should change the podcast's title to Nocturnal Transmissions Late Nights. Although I suppose that's implied in the title already anyway, isn't it? So, anyway, I know how to cool you off. A little plug for something your humble narrator has been involved in lately. The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear. And the strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. H.P. Lovecraft, 1927. Sound Realms, in collaboration with Chaosium, will be launching Call of Cthulhu, the audio investigations, Alone Against the Tide role-playing game, on the 1st of August, That's next month, don't you know? Step into a world where every choice you make shapes the story, and every twist comes alive in breathtaking audio detail. This isn't just any role-playing game. It's an immersive audio experience that puts you in the center of an epic adventure, with professional voice actors performing every scene, including our humble narrator. Prepare to feel the intensity and depth of a real cinematic audio adventure. Call of Cthulhu, Alone Against the Tide, marks the first of what we hope to be an ongoing collaboration between Sound Realms, Chaosium, and your humble narrator. Watch our Nocturnal Transmissions Instagram for announcements. We'll keep you posted and provide links and the like as things develop. And that brings us to the end of this transmission. Before we leave you, we would like to extend a warm welcome to our newest Patreon subscriber, Acolytes. Marsha Tucker, welcome. Dustin, welcome. Antonio Salmeron, welcome. T-Wine Wineglass, or is it T-Winey Wineglass? Well, either way, T-Wine or T-Winey, welcome. And last but not least, Iva Antoni, welcome. Thank you for choosing to support our humble production. Hope you're enjoying your exclusive episodes. We made them just for discerning lovers of dark matter, such as your good selves. Bon appetit. Thank you to all our Patreon subscribers, with an especially big thank you reserved just for our esteemed cohorts. Crunchy Kirby, Kel Wielden, David Weaver, Amanda Moore, Heathen Soul, Jerry Taylor, Tim Howard, JB, Evan Dooley, Fangora Brown, Mudkip, Adam, Drenny, Wayne Prince, Robert Troy, Hampton Peterson, Andy Shammy, Tippy Polo, Rachel Brown, Bull Swivney, Jimmy Mack, Johnny Kelly, Rebecca Gates, Alex Brewers, Daniel Clanton, and Daniel Kamiankowski. All non-public domain stories are featured with the permission of the authors. All voices and production are concocted by Kristin Holland. Until next time, as always, watch the skies, fear the dark, and don't trust anyone, especially yourself. Good night, gentle listener.